Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Broken Nose Gaming here. Still on the laptop, mainly just because I'm tired. My vertigo symptoms and stuff like that have gone away. I've just been working a little bit more than normal, as usual, so I just haven't had a chance to really even work on my big computer. I'm sure it needs a lot of updates and stuff like that. So, anyways, I have been playing World of Tanks Blitz on and off still, and they have actually dropped two new tanks in crates. The first one is a Tier 9 German heavy tank, and the second one is a Tier 8 British medium tank. As I said, they're both available in crates. The Tier 9 is this one, the Project KPZ-07PE, and the Tier 8 is the Vickers MBT Mark III. Now, the Tier 9 is only available in mystery crates, and I believe it is a 0.5% drop chance. And I think that's like 100, no, 1 in 200, something like that. The Vickers came in standard crates, which means it has a 5% drop chance, and I somehow managed to get it multiple times in the few crates that I bought, which means I got gold compensation of, I believe it was like 37.50 or something like that. I do want to make a video on the KPZ. I just don't play a whole lot of Tier 9 and 10. I will probably take some time out and do that later. But for now, we're going to focus on the Vickers MBT. As you can see, it's a little bit more modern looking than most tanks in the game. Hence why it's called an MBT, as a matter of fact. So this is probably like an early version, maybe like Cold War era, I'm assuming. And if we take a look at the stats, it's an okay tank. I don't feel like it's very overpowered, but if we look at like the armor of this tank, the turret is great at 225 on the front. The hull isn't bad at 150 at the front, but if you look at the sides and the rear, 60, 40 for the turret, 80, 30 for the hull. This tank is very easy to pen. I believe you could probably even HE it from the rear. The front hull isn't that strong either. Most tanks are going to be able to go through 150 millimeters. The turret, though, if you place yourself correctly or properly, you definitely can bounce some shots. I've been managing to do that myself. So there is that. If we take a look at the gun, so the L7A1 is, I think, on a few other tanks in Tier 10. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is. It's still probably a later model gun compared to some of the other guns that some of these tanks have, but this is also a later model tank. In terms of the gun, it's okay. It's using APCR for both its standard and premium rounds, so because of that, I'm not using calibrated shells, just because the pen buff, I just don't feel like it's worth it for APCR. I believe it's lower than both AP, heat, so I don't see a point. I don't have AP, I don't have heat. I'm not going to buff the pen anymore because it's not going to be a huge jump up. Anyways, the aim time is 3.4 seconds, which is okay. The dispersion isn't too bad at 0.288. The DPM is okay at about almost 2100 DPM. The reload time isn't spectacular. It's a little bit longer than I'd like at 9.15 seconds. That's kind of in that Soviet medium territory in Tier 8, where the reload is longer but is usually compensated by a higher alpha. And the alpha is a little bit higher than normal, being a 105. Your penetration, so your standard APCR is 190, your premium APCR is 264, and then your HE is 65. It's not the best penetration, but I feel like that's enough in Tier 8 to deal with most things that you're going to see. The damage, or the alpha, for your standard APCR is 320, which is similar to the like the Soviet mediums of this tier with the long reload, high alpha. I'm thinking like the Object 274A. 270 on your premium APCR and 400 on your HE, which you should be able to HE one of these if you were to run into it either on the side or the rear and manage to do a whopping 400 damage to it. Your gun depression and elevation, 25 up, 8 down, that's okay. If we look at the mobility, it's okay. You have almost 1,000 horsepower, and you're looking at about an average forward speed of about 35 kilometers per hour. You supposedly can top out at 57. Your reverse speed is okay too at 20. I will say that this tank does feel fairly mobile for what it is. Like, it's got a good turret, but everything else is okay. If you're okay with that longer reload, higher alpha kind of thing, then you'll probably not have any problems with this tank. But the problem I have with tanks that have longer reloads and higher alpha in the medium class is you can't do as much. You have to make your shots count more because you're going to have a longer reload, and that is going to be a little bit more difficult to deal with when your team starts getting lower in numbers. I didn't play this tank normally. I messed around with it in Uprising, mainly because I didn't know what to expect from this tank, so I was like, I'll just play a fun mode to see what's up with it. So, I was having some connection issues in this game. As you can see, I did not start up right away, and I think eventually I'll start moving here. Yeah, there we go. My internet for the past few days has been really terrible. I'm going to have to talk to my provider. I've been hitting like 500 ping and up to 10% packet loss, which is not very good. Anyways, so I go to the light and medium side. So the thing about Uprising is you have these abilities, and I'm sure most of you have played Uprising, but you have these wild abilities. So like that T-49 dumped a huge shot into that CS-52, and he just reversed and like did his time backup thing and literally negated that guy's shot. So you have to be careful about what tanks have what abilities. Now I have managed to bounce one shot off my turret already. So this is the kind of position that I was doing pretty okay with when it comes to the Vickers MBT, just your standard hold down spot. The accuracy is okay-ish. There's not a lot going on right now, unfortunately. But this is like what I was having the best luck with when it came to using this tank, because the turret is pretty darn tough, and if you stay hull down and you don't expose your hull, the enemy doesn't have a lot to deal with when it comes to what it can penetrate. Now, I did get rid of that CS-52 lease, and I believe somebody else knocked that other thing out. There's an ISU-152, and now I have that same reverse ability, so that ISU-152 dumped a huge alpha shot on me, and I literally negated the whole thing. He was so focused on me, though, he didn't notice the T-49, I guess. The CS-52 respawns. You get like 3 respawns in Uprising if you've never played it, by the way. And unfortunately, that's... don't roll all the way into the enemy spawn, because you're going to just get eaten alive. I whiffed that shot. Not too great. But, again, I'm just kind of going to hold down a little bit. And I'm going to hope that these guys don't see me. I do manage to clip that guy's hatch, but again, I drop a 318 alpha shot and he just reverses and does his little time thing. So it negates my shot. Now, that being said, the other thing that you can do is if you can bait them into using their time reverse shot and then dump higher alpha rounds onto them, it's a good trade-off. Now, there I, again, got hit with an 817 alpha shot, and I do the same thing. And I did the right thing there. I managed to reverse time, and then I only got hit for like 200-something from that Skoda T27. He does hit my ammo rack, which, from my playthroughs of this tank, the ammo rack seems to be fairly accessible, and you will get a lot of ammo rack damage. I'm assuming it's placed in the very front of the tank or something like that. But don't be surprised. I would recommend protecting your ammo rack. I waste a whole shell on a 1 HP kill because the guy had a skill that lets him take damage, but no matter what, he'll stay alive at 1 HP unless it's an ammo rack. There's that ISU 152. Again, he drops like a 700 almost alpha shell on me and then uses his special ability. It does nothing, and I reverse time. I do take another 275 shot from, I believe, that SMV, and again, it's, you know, I'd rather take 275 than almost 700, so you got to be kind of smart about using your reverse feature on this. Again, another 200 alpha shot, almost 300, but I'm doing okay in terms of staying alive here. That Hori, again, drops a 400. Could I have not used my reverse time? Maybe, but I'd rather, you know, use it, because at this point I feel like I know I'm going to die, so I want to try and keep myself alive as long as possible in order to put out some damage. So again, I'm, you know, just punching this Hori in the side. Somebody flips me around and manages to bounce off the rear of my tank, which is wild. But I whiff shots. Like, all these tanks are now rushing us. We're down 2 tanks it is already. And Hori takes me out, which I'm not surprised. But now I'll select my abilities, and I decide to use the Chain Lightning because it will wrap around other tanks that are in the area, and I also up my engine power. Now this tank becomes ridiculously mobile. I'm going to go ahead and knock out that tank right away. But look at how quick the tank is now. So, like, this tank is mobile. Like, I believe its horsepower per ton ratio was like 20 horsepower per ton, which is okay. It's just the terrain resistance or something is not great. I'll have to research it more. But now I'm using my... I really do like, again, somebody spins me around. I really do like the Chain Lightning because there's like 2 or 3 tanks back there. And yeah, I can't hit them dead on, but if I can hit one of them, the rest will also get damaged, which is all I really want to have happen. That SMV whiffs on me. I'm not too concerned by it. I do see the Skoda T27 back here all by himself, and I don't know what he's doing. So I managed to bounce a shot, or I bounced my shot off of him. He manages to hit me. I do waste my time reverse, but you know, I figure, you know what, I'm gonna get overwhelmed, but I'm gonna try my hardest to try and knock this guy out. And you also do get increased alpha when it comes to using the Chain Lightning mechanic. So he clips me, but I do manage to finish him off, and he is done for the day. So we're now, it's a 4-2 scenario when it comes to the number of tanks on the field, and the enemy tanks are now on their last life. So we're hoping to kind of mop up here, and I'm really surprised at how quick the tank moves. I'm averaging like almost 70 kilometers per hour, which is really ridiculous, but I don't mind it. It's pretty cool. But of course, you're not going to get that in a regular gameplay. But yeah, still 20 horsepower per ton isn't too bad for the tank. Oh, I whiffed that shot. What a terrible shot to whiff. And now he's going to get spun around, and I'm going to try one more time. I managed to drop a almost 500 alpha round into him. So now he has this he has 2 skills. He has the Inferno skill, and he has the like Jagged Shell skill. Both of those would definitely have killed me, but I was way more mobile than him, so I was able to take him down, and then my teammate was able to finish him off. But that was like one of my first 3 games with this tank. Oh, and my my game crashed. Hold on a second. So unfortunately, my game has crashed, and I for some reason cannot pull up the after battle stats for that match. So I was gonna end the video after that, but unfortunately that's gonna be a real weird ending. So instead, I will go over the equipment that I use really quick. This setup, I have the rammer, the gun laying drive, and then the refined gun. And then I'm using the defense system, improved assembly, toolbox, and then I'm using improved optics, the engine accelerator, which, yes, we are at a 20 horsepower per ton ratio, which is pretty good. And then I use the consumable delivery system to enhance my cooldown speed on my consumables, which actually is fairly important in games like Uprising, because your skills that you have are also considered consumables. But yeah, I am a little let down because I wanted to show off the after battle stats, but even after restarting the computer and like resetting the replay and then to go to the after battle screen, it literally just hung for like a good 2 minutes and will not show me anything. So I cannot show you the after battle results, but that is the Vickers MBT Mark III. I may play this in more normal settings just to see how it handles. I know we have skirmish going on right now, so it might not be a bad idea to play it in skirmish and just see how it does with less teammates with that longer reload. And like I said, I will also be making a video hopefully soon on this guy. But yeah, that is our Vickers MBT Mark III. Is it worth it to get it in the crates? I don't think so. I got incredibly lucky in managing to hit it on like a 3 crate setup and getting it like twice. So if you have the gold and you don't have anything you want to get, I would say play around with it a little bit and see what you get. But if you're like dead set on trying to buy this tank right now, I do not recommend. Actually, you know what? I even take it back. Let me take a look at one other thing, because if I remember right, I actually saw the Vickers MBT for sale by itself at one time. Here it is. Okay. All right, here's the deal. If you're dead set on buying the Vickers MBT Mark III, don't do the crates unless you really like gambling or something like that. If you really want the Vickers MBT Mark III, you can buy the tank outright for $60, which I still think is too much money, but that is your money. You do what you want with it. This has gone on way too long. I am not trying to turn this into a PSA about not gambling or not spending your money the way you want to. I'm just telling you, if you want the Vickers MBT Mark III, buy it outright at $60 instead of using the crates. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. I am sorry that the replay decided to crash and I wasn't able to show you the results of the game. But until I see you guys in another video, take it easy. Bye-bye.